School shootings have become all too common within the United States. Teens feeling like they're outcasts decide to take their frustrations out on their school, causing terror for their peers. There are a variety of reasons for why a teen might decide that taking a gun to school is their only option. All of those reasons are selfish, and it was no different when it happened in Pearl, Mississippi in 1997. This is Monsters. John Woodham Jr. moved to the small town of Pearl, Mississippi in 1965. He had just started his career as an accountant, and he heard that Pearl was safe and its rapid growth gave it the potential for jobs and advancement. It was there that he met a young woman named Mary Ann, and the two eventually married in 1967 with the goal of starting a family. So John worked and Mary stayed home, expecting to soon become a mother. Unfortunately, that wouldn't come so easily, and over the years, Mary Ann got bored of sitting around the house with nothing to do, so she enrolled in classes to become a kindergarten teacher. Once she graduated, she started working part-time as a substitute teacher. It wasn't until the end of 1973 that Mary gave birth to their first child, a son named John Woodham III. From there, Mary Ann quit her job and became a full-time stay-at-home mother. She was overprotective of little John, and she spoiled him. That went on for years, as it took just as long for the couple to have their second child. Luke Woodham was born on February 5, 1981. By that time, John III had spent 8 years having his mother's full attention, and it's said that he and his new brother never really got along due to the resentment on John's side. People who knew the family said that the two boys were never close. By that time, John Jr. and Mary Ann's marriage was not as picture-perfect as it had been the previous years. Luke claimed that his earliest memories were of his parents fighting. Mary Ann's husband accused her of showing favoritism towards Luke, and she would drag the kids into the room so they could hear what he was saying. That favoritism likely added to John III's resentment of his younger brother. Outside of the fights, Luke described his father as aloof. His parents divorced when he was around 8 years old, and Luke blamed his mother. Luke would go on to tell friends that he hated his mother. Mary Ann worked multiple jobs to support her and her sons, but she also liked to go out and would regularly leave Luke at home alone. He mentioned that during his interrogation.
She always told me I wouldn't amount to anything. She always told me I was bad and stupid and lazy.
Wasn't good enough?
Wasn't good enough. She blamed me for my dad leaving. She blamed me for my brother hating her.
How old was your brother?
His birthday was Sunday.
How old was he?
24. She used to blame me when me and him would get in fights. He'd always pick on me, always beat on me when I was little.
He's bigger than you? Yeah. I got a bigger cousin than me. Used to tell me that one.
Yeah, but she just thought that it was all my fault. I couldn't do anything right. And the more I read, the smarter I got, the more she hated me. Because I'd outsmart her all the time, and she just hated me. And she'd always get an attitude with me. She was never there for me. She always ran out on Friday and Saturday nights and be out with her friends and with guys.
You were by yourself?
I was there by myself, just started reading. And
got mad. Yeah, this happens day after day.
Every day. Every week. She wouldn't let me do anything, but she could go out and she could party. And you know what? By the time I got to junior high, it just builds up, and I hated just everyone. But I tried to be nice. I tried so hard.
Home wasn't the only place Luke was bullied. Being on the heavier side, he was teased in school for his weight, and students claimed he was weird. His grades suffered during that time, and he ended up needing to repeat the 9th grade. His downward spiral was no secret. His writing began to take a dark turn, and it wasn't just regular teen angst. During a class assignment, he was asked to write how he would spend the day as his teacher. This is what he wrote. Quote, "If I could spend a day as Mrs. Neal, I would be very, very nice to Luke Woodham and pass him for the year. Then I would knock the crud out of the omniscient dork for putting junk on my computer. Then I would go crazy and kill all of the other teachers. Then I would slowly and very painfully torture all of the principals to death. Then I would withdraw all of my money in the bank and give it to Luke Woodham. Then I would get all of the other teachers' and principals' bank account numbers, withdraw all of the money and give it to Luke Woodham. Then I would do acid. Then I would get a gun and my out all over the doggone room and leave my house to Luke Woodham." That was something that should have raised concern with someone at the school, but apparently nobody thought the boy needed help. Luke would continue on at school and end up meeting a girl named Christina. Christina Menifee was born on July 9th, 1981, and she moved to Pearl in the summer of 1996, when she was 15 years old. Christina had a complicated home life. Her parents had divorced 10 years earlier, and when her mother remarried, she did not get along with her stepfather. She ended up moving in with her biological father and stepmother in Jacksonville, Florida. Her father, Bob Menifee, had gotten out of the Navy and was offered a job in Pearl, so he and his family moved there. Like John Woodham Jr. before them, they were likely enticed by the safety the small town boasted about. She was the new girl in school that year, and when she met Luke and he was overly nice to her, she immediately accepted his affection in a new, strange place. He explained how they met during his interrogation.
When she was in junior high, her and another girl that I was friends with at the time, me and another one of my friends, we were going to go to the Woodham Junior High graduation dance or whatever. She was going to give me Ozzy Osbourne tickets if I went with her, so Ozzy, you know. Yeah. I wanted to go see Ozzy, but we ended up not going, but me and her stayed friends, and she had become like my sister. I loved her more than any other thing on this earth. And then a friend of ours set us up, and you know, for a while it was perfect. I mean, nothing went wrong, nothing. I actually had somebody to love and somebody loved me. First time in my life, only time in my life. And then she just all of a sudden one day just broke up with me. And I was devastated. I was going to myself.
He claimed that he was so devastated that he was going to do something terrible to himself. Just as he was about to act, he got a call from a friend. He started rethinking his actions, and then he got a call from another friend who made him feel better. He told the detective that later that night Christina called him and they talked, and the following day they got back together. I couldn't find any confirmation that that was true, though.
So the next day we got back together, but I don't know, it was just the second time. This is what pushed me over the edge. She just always, all the time.
So did something happen yesterday?
No.
In school? Or?
I'm letting
I'm sorry.
Explain the whole thing, sir. She'd always flirt with other guys. She'd always do all that kind of crap right to my face. She'd always tell me how cute other guys were and all this kind of crap. And it just gets to you. I mean, I loved her. And she just didn't care. And finally, she went on a choral music trip, and she flirted with one of the guys there. She let her watch her change and all this kind of crap, and they hung all over each other. She came back and she told me all this. Told me. And then she dumped me again. And ever since then, I've never been the same.
Christina had told friends that Luke was overly attached to her, but it wasn't only him. Every time she went out with her boyfriend, his mother, Mary Ann, would go with them. She was extremely controlling of her son, and that just added another level of smothering she felt in the relationship. She ended the relationship because of that, an obsession that Luke wouldn't get over. It's important to note that the breakup happened on October 1st, 1996. Over the next year, Luke stayed depressed about his breakup with Christina. He said he had tried to date someone else, but it didn't work out. He continued to pine for his first love and couldn't accept that she didn't want to be with him. He continued down a dark spiral, and eventually he started to hate the world. That was when he met a boy named Grant Boyette. Grant was a few years older than Luke, and he was considered a good kid from an upstanding family. His family was devoutly Christian, and on the surface, Grant seemed like a quiet, Sunday school-attending, well-adjusted young man. Under that, he was what some friends described as Machiavellian. Friends described his temper, saying he would regularly grab people by the throat and say, quote, "Don't make me do something I don't want to do." Grant had a fascination with Adolf Hitler, and a friend said that he, quote, admired his tactics. He also said he liked the way Hitler was able to manipulate people. This is the part of the story where you find out that Grant also liked to dabble in Satanism. Grant was thin and bony, and it's not surprising that he was also the victim of bullying in school. That's why he eventually formed a group of underdogs that he called the Croth. He told the boys that the name came from his real father, Satan. Grant referred to himself as, quote, the master of high demon activity. Now, Luke wasn't aware of what Grant was really into when he was asked to join the group. He didn't know Hitler and Satanism were Grant's core influences. He just knew he was depressed and was looking for friends. The group spent most of their time playing video games, listening to rock music, and exploring role-playing games. Grant waited until Luke was firmly attached to his new group of friends to let him in on the truth behind his invitation to the group. Grant dropped the news that he prayed to Satan and Satan had chosen him to be a part of the group. In an effort to prove to Luke that he had the potential for greatness, he brought over a copy of the Necronomicon, often referred to as the Book of the Dead, and together they used it to cast a spell on a boy Luke was having issues with. The next day, the boy Luke had been thinking of while they were casting the spell was struck by a car and killed. According to the police report, the boy was dressed in all black clothes while attempting to cross a very busy street, and the death had been a terrible accident. But Luke knew the truth. He had used black magic to curse the boy. Luke had become a firm believer in the power of Satanism and in his brothers in the Croth. The mantra of the Croth was, quote, "We can't move forward until all of our enemies are gone." And the biggest enemy of Luke was Christina Menefee. She had broken his heart, essentially destroying his life, and all he wanted was to have his revenge. Grant was only too happy to encourage Luke to act out his homicidal fantasy. Before he graduated to killing a human, Luke tested his nerves by killing something a little smaller. He wrote about the killing in his journal, which is extremely graphic. All I will say here is that he and Grant killed Luke's family's pet dog, Sparkles. If you want to hear the entire journal entry, I'm adding a supplemental video where I read it, but just remember it's an extremely graphic account of animal abuse. Mary Ann was so preoccupied with other things that it took a few weeks before she even noticed the pet was missing. Luke shrugged it off as her having run away, and even though his brother was initially suspicious, the subject was eventually dropped. During the summer of 1997, the Croth began planning an event that would terrorize Pearl High School. At first, they thought about setting a number of fires at the school. Then they had another plan where they would target a group of students on a hit list. Then they came up with their final plan. First, Luke, who was dubbed the Assassin, would go into the school and open fire. Then he would go to the junior high a few miles away and do the same thing. Then the members of the Croth planned to meet in Jackson, Mississippi, which would be the start of their journey into Mexico. Once they were in Mexico, they would catch a boat to Cuba. It was foolproof. Well, not really. It also had Luke being the only member who was actually doing any killing or taking any risk. The rest of the group was just going to wait for him to do the dirty work and then they would flee. At the end of September, Luke decided he was ready to take action.
Last night, no, actually it wasn't last night. It was probably about Sunday night. I got in from work, and the world just gotten to me. I just said, I really just don't care anymore. I started just not giving, stopped caring Friday for some reason. I just couldn't figure it out, I just stopped caring. And, because people at school thought I was on drugs or something because I just didn't care about anything. And so the weekend, I just usual thing, just read and play this. I got a Star Wars role-playing game kind of thing going. It's okay. I'll play that a little bit. And, but last night I just decided I'm through it. I didn't want to kill my mother. I didn't want to, I do love my mother. It's just, I wanted revenge on Christina. And my mom wouldn't just, no, sure, Luke, take the gun, take the car.
Luke would explain that he didn't really want to kill his mother, but he wanted to take her gun and car, and it was the only thing he could think of since she wouldn't just let him take either of those things. When the detective asked him why he didn't just tie her up, Luke responded, quote, "I didn't think of that." When your immediate idea is to murder your mother and the idea of tying her up instead doesn't even cross your mind, you might be a monster. The evening of September 30th, 1997, Luke put his plan into motion. He had asked his mother if he could borrow her car, and she had said no. Understandable, since he didn't even have a driver's license. That resulted in an argument that sent Luke into a place where he believed murder was his only course of action. This is a great example of the wrongs Luke would claim his mother had enacted against him being nothing more than a major case of self-entitlement. No parent would reasonably allow their unlicensed child to drive a car. Still, that was unacceptable to Luke. He wanted something, and Marianne saying no, even for a very reasonable reason, was unacceptable to Luke and justified murder. That night, while Marianne wasn't watching, Luke unplugged the landline phone in his mother's bedroom and hid it in a closet so she couldn't call 911. The following morning, Luke got up early and retrieved a knife from the kitchen. Then he went back into his bedroom and grabbed an aluminum baseball bat. As he left his room again, he saw Marianne in the hall. He was surprised because he expected her to still be asleep. He threatened her and she ran back into the bedroom, but Luke was right on top of her. He started swinging the bat around, hitting the furniture, which caused Marianne to fall onto her bed. That's when Luke began beating her with the baseball bat. After 2 violent blows to the face and head, he dropped the baseball bat. Then he pushed a pillow over her face before stabbing her to death with the kitchen knife. She was stabbed 7 times and slashed 11 times. She received stab wounds to each of her lungs and her heart. Once his mother was dead, Luke sat down and hastily wrote out his manifesto and will. He added his poetry to the writings, then he grabbed the Marlin .30-30 rifle out of the attic and the keys to his mother's Chevy Corsica and headed to the school. But when he got there, he left the gun in the car and went inside where he found one of the members of the Croth, Justin Sledge.
I walked into school at first without the gun. I had it in the backseat of the car. I handed it to one of my friends, Justin Sledge. I expected to die today, honestly. I expected Myrick to kill me.
You handed your gun to Justin Sledge?
No, I didn't have my gun.
Oh.
I had written up, I'm a musician, and I also write poetry and a bunch of other stuff. I handed it and said, just give this to Grant, and he's one of my friends. And I had a will written there. I had a eulogy for my funeral. And my will, I pretty much said everything. Just remember me.
Luke gave Justin his manifesto/will/poetry book and told him to give it to Grant. In the will, he wrote that he was giving all of his books, his cassette tapes, and his writings and poetry to Grant Boyette. He was giving his guitars, amplifiers, guitar magazines, and his music and lyrics to Lucas Thompson. The first page of his manifesto read, quote, "I am not insane. I am angry. This world has shit on me for the final time. I am not spoiled or lazy, for murder is not weak and slow-witted. Murder is gutsy and daring. I killed because people like me are mistreated every day. I did this to show society, push us, and we will push back. I suffered all my life. No one ever truly loved me. No one ever truly cared about me. I only loved one thing in my whole life, and that was Christina Menefee, but she was torn away from me. I tried to save myself with, name redacted, but she never cared for me. As it turns out, she made fun of me behind my back while we were together, and all throughout my life I was ridiculed. Always beaten, always hated. Can you, society, truly blame me for what I do? Yes, you will. The ratings wouldn't be high enough if you didn't, and it would not make good gossip for all the old ladies. But I shall tell you one thing. I am malicious because I am miserable. The world has beaten me. Wednesday 1, 1997 shall go down in history as the day I fought back. In parentheses, he wrote, "At this time, Grant, say what you will. When you are through, I ask you to read them section 125 of the Gay Science, The Madmen." That last part is a reference to the Gay Science by Nietzsche. This horrible act was carried out on October 1st, 1997, exactly 1 year after Christina had broken up with him. Luke would go on to give a variety of reasons for why he did what he did, but the main reason was that he wanted revenge on Christina Menifee. Justin knew what was about to happen, so he and some other friends hid in the library. Luke then returned to his car and retrieved the rifle.
Got the gun, turned around, ran towards the school. I yelled, "This ends now." Ran inside the school, ran up to Christina, bam, right in the heart.
She just ran in with the gun.
Ran with the gun.
And how'd you pick out the other people to shoot?
I didn't mean to shoot. I just snapped.
So you don't really know who the other people are that you shot?
I remember who it is. I just didn't know at the time. But let me tell you what happened.
Were you aiming at these?
No, sir. It was like I was there, but I wasn't.
Okay. So tell me what.
I shot Lydia Dew. I don't know why. I just shot her. Turned around and I just shot off into the crowd, and I think I hit Stephanie Wiggins. I think I might hit her in the butt. And then Alan Westbrook, he's lying down on the ground. He had always picked on me. Always made fun of me. I just got really mad.
Is he a big guy?
He's a big guy.
Yeah, I saw him.
And I don't know if I killed him or not.
I don't think so.
I know I shot him once somewhere, and then I know I shot him in the balls, or the dick, or somewhere along there, and then I shot him again. Then I put another bullet in there, and I don't think I know I told Jerry safely I wasn't going to shoot at him because he never did anything to me, because he was hiding over the girlfriend, over in the corner trying to protect his girlfriend. I told him, "I'm not going to do anything to you, Jerry." And I took off a little down the science hall, and some guy was running down that way. I don't know who. So I said, "Wait a minute, why am I going this way for?" So I just went out the other way, got in my car, drove off, and then next thing I know, I was just trying to get out. I didn't know what really was going on. I hit a tree, my heart came right out there. I just said, "No, I don't want to die." So I just gave up.
During the attack, Luke found Christina first and shot her in the lower neck, not the heart, and she died instantly. Then he turned and shot the girl who was standing next to Christina, Lydia Dew, who also eventually died from her wounds. From there, Luke started firing at random. He hit Stephanie Wiggins in the hip, shattering it. She would go on to have multiple surgeries to repair the damage. Jerry Safely was hit in the leg, and it was reported that Luke then went over to the bleeding boy and apologized, saying, quote, "Oh, Jerry, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize you." Luke would tell detectives during his interrogation that he had no interest in shooting anyone who hadn't wronged him. He had mistaken Jerry for the mayor's son, and he thought he would get more attention if he killed someone high profile like that. According to Luke, any classmates who had been nice to him were essentially safe. I mean, as safe as they could be during a school shooting. After that, Luke shot Alan Westbrook, someone who he had claimed had treated him badly. He shot him multiple times in the back and assumed the boy had died, but he didn't. The rest of the injuries were from shrapnel. Luke wasn't a great shot and tended to hit the ground, which sent shards of tile into the students' bodies. Eventually, the rifle jammed and Luke gave up. He started walking down a hallway deeper into the school, but then he changed his mind and turned around. He left the school and went back to his mother's car. Assistant Principal Joe Myrick was in his office when he heard gunshots. He was the commander of the 631st Field Artillery Brigade in the Mississippi National Guard, and his training immediately kicked in. He went out to his truck and retrieved a Colt .45. It was then that he saw Luke and the white Corsica speeding out of the parking lot. He pointed his gun at the car and yelled at him to stop, but the young man didn't comply. Luke didn't get far because before he could get to the road, he lost control of the car and swerved into the grass where the wheels sunk in and the car got stuck. Assistant Principal Myrick was able to run to the car where he ordered Luke to get out and lie on the ground. Luke complied. After that, police and sheriff swarmed the school. It was confirmed that 2 were dead and 7 were seriously injured. Medical help arrived on the scene and Luke was handed over to the authorities as the shooter. It was there that he informed officers that he had also killed his mother. He was transported to an interrogation room where he confessed and explained his reasons for what he had done, which at this point were pretty simple.
I wanted to do this. I wanted revenge on Christina.
Christina, who's Christina?
Christina Menifee, she's my ex-girlfriend. We broke up about a year ago.
Uh-huh.
And
She hurts feelings. She go to Pearl.
She's the first person I shot. Got her right in the heart.
Again, he didn't shoot her in the heart. Investigators arrived at his house soon after and found the body of Mary Ann Woodham still in her bed with a pillow over her face. The knife and baseball bat were still in her room. It was clear that Luke was guilty and he was being charged with 3 counts of murder and 7 counts of aggravated assault. During the investigation, it was realized that Luke wasn't the only person involved in the attack. His friends had participated in planning the event, which meant they were also criminally liable. Grant Boyette had distanced himself from Luke after the shooting. In interviews, he said he knew Luke but claimed he was more of a casual acquaintance. Justin Sledge, on the other hand, couldn't get enough of the spotlight. He gave interviews and even read Luke's manifesto on the news. Once the police learned about the Croth, authorities ended up arresting the 6 remaining members of the group and charged them with conspiracy to commit murder. Those members included Grant Boyette, who was 18 years old by then, and Justin Sledge. Information about their satanic elements was released and the media picked it up and ran with it. That, of course, led to more people believing in the overall satanic panic. It also led to Luke coming up with a new reason for why he had carried out such a heinous act. At trial, Luke claimed that he had carried out the murders because he was seeing demons. He claimed it was Grant alone who had killed his family's dog, and then he made the members of the Croth do his bidding. At that time, he claimed he had no memory of stabbing his mother. Of course, he openly talked about it during his interrogation, so his claim of not remembering wasn't taken too seriously. During his cross-examination from the prosecutor, he said, quote, "Y'all don't know what I went through. You've never been in my shoes. And you sit here and condemn me for something that y'all don't even know that I did. It's not right." There's that entitlement again. He killed 3 people, confessed to it, and is angry that people are condemning him. Luke's defense was that, in the summer of 1997, he began seeing demons. He described them as red-cloaked with glowing eyes and spikes on their heads, but no hair. He claimed that they would tell him to do things, mainly to kill people. He said that he believed the demons were an extension of Grant. He told the court that he had woken up on the morning of October 1st and seen demons. The demons told him that he would be nothing if he didn't, quote, "get to that school and kill those people." Of course, that story doesn't explain why he made preparations to kill his mother the night before. If he had started hearing the demons on the morning of the murders, then why did he remove the phone from his mother's room the previous night? It doesn't make sense. That's because he didn't hear demons. Nowhere in his writing did he talk about demons. Nowhere in his confession did he talk about demons. The demons suddenly appeared when he was on trial. Luke was fully aware of what he was doing and why he did it. There were 2 separate trials. The first was for the murder of Mary Ann Woodham, where he was found guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison. The following week, at the second trial, Luke was found guilty of the murder of Christina Menifee and Lydia Dew, along with 7 counts of aggravated assault. He was given 2 consecutive life sentences, as well as 7 20-year sentences. It's safe to say that Luke will never be released. Neither his father nor his brother attended either trial. Grant Boyette eventually pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder and was sentenced to attend the regimented inmate disciplinary program at Parchman and serve 5 years of supervised probation. The charges against the other 5 members of the Croth were dropped. In 2010, Luke sent a request for clemency to the governor of Mississippi, Haley Barbour, but his request was denied. Luke Woodham may have been bullied. He may have been abused by his mother. He may have had his heart broken, but murdering 3 people and injuring 7 others because of it just made him a monster. If you're a fan of true crime, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode. You can also hit like or leave us a comment. You can check out our other show, Somewhere Sinister, on YouTube or anywhere that you listen to podcasts. If you'd like to support the show, check out our merchandise at thisismonsters.com. The link is in the description. Thanks again, and be safe.